Okay, very quickly in a few minutes, medieval warfare, GCSE warfare 3 times, short revision clips. We are going to look at recruitment and training. We're going to start with the feudal system, obviously brought in by William the Conqueror, 1066, which earlier during this period in 1250 was still the dominant method of recruiting for armies. And you should know how this works by now. The king appointed powerful supporters in control of large areas of England, earls, dukes, etc. And in return, they promised to give military support and provide men, a retinue, under a feudal summons for a 40-day period each year. There would still sometimes be a general summons which could be used as a voluntary request in return for the promise perhaps of more land and more wealth as a result. During this period, the feudal system did start to break down, though. Attitudes towards duties did start to change. Kings found that the feudal system, the feudal summons, was becoming a bit unreliable, and as a result, you're starting to see other methods of recruiting men being used. For example, in 1285, you get the assize of arms, the extension of the assize of arms, meaning that commissioners of array were appointed, and their job was to go out and muster men to serve in campaigns. Having said that, though, these methods still failed to provide the numbers of men and the quality of soldier that was now being required in battle. And you're starting to see the idea of paying good soldiers to fight rather than forcing reluctant men to fight is starting to embed during these years. You can see this in the contracts made between kings and individual knights, exchanging fixed periods of service for a payment. This became a more reliable method of recruiting knights for campaigns. These were known as indentures, these contracts. By the time you get to the 1400s, practically every knight in battle was recruited by indenture. But even in the infantry, by 1400, most infantry soldiers, foot soldiers, had become longbowmen, which obviously required skills, which might lead to better pay. And these men might also then sign a contract to be part of the retinue of a knight. Kings also, during this period, started to have their own soldiers, so you get the development of their own royal households. You also get kings paying mercenary soldiers because of the need to recruit extra numbers and also to get quality soldiers as well. So, from recruitment to training. In terms of training, if we look at the cavalry still had this culture of chivalry, where most young men from noble classes, most knights, were trained in military skills from an early age, horsemanship, the use of weapons. You'll be familiar with tournament competitions like jousting, depicted in movies such as A Knight's Tale. For infantry soldiers, in the earlier period, little or no training, but again, from the 14th century, this growing demand for bowmen saw foot soldiers becoming archers and joining a knight's retinue, and therefore more skill was needed for that. In fact, from 1363, it actually became law that all men between the ages of 16 and 65 should practice archery every Sunday. Definitely during this period, we see a move towards better paid, better trained soldiers to meet the changes and the new demands of warfare as we progress through the medieval period.